things I do for that princess.
Well, wasn't that a spectacular start? Yes, welcome to another Down the Rabbit Hole video. This is not actually a Battlefront video. I know I just posted one the other day. I love Battlefront. I will do more actual proper Battlefront videos soon. But this is actually an answer to a video response to a question that was posed on YouTube by Swifto. Swifto was asking, do you like games that are realistic or ones that are not realistic? He says he enjoys playing games as a kind of escapism, and he prefers games that are not realistic for that very reason. I've got a few games here that are both, and I thought I'd use them in my reply. Oh dear, it looks like Han Solo has been arrested, so we're back to my regular Rebel Trooper. Now, what's about to happen to my Rebel Trooper here indicates exactly what I'm talking about. I got shot a few times there and nearly died, but if I hide around the corner here, magically, my health just comes back. Look at that. That is not very realistic at all. And it's funny to say that in a Star Wars game, that none of this is realistic. So surely this is my idea of a fantasy game. But I think what Swifto was going for are games that are like not even believable in any way versus things that are grounded in a kind of reality. And Battlefront, like a lot of shooter games, it looks very real. It's got a visceral kind of like the use of shadow and definitely in this game, the use of sound effects and music is really, it puts you in there. And I mean, look at this sequence here. I've got... I'm hiding behind the shots of an AT-AT up on the horizon there, and that was a very scary place to be. So yeah, these games like this, really do showcase what feels kind of realistic. Like you really feel like you're in the combat there. You almost want to duck your head and hide from the laser fire, the explosions. And unfortunately, that AT-ST got me, so that's one explosion I didn't miss. But yeah, again, to go back to that sort of instant healing thing, that's not a realistic way of doing the game. And again, here my guy almost dies, but if I wait a second, I get my health back. On the other hand, this is the Pinball Arcade, which is a very realistic game. And this is about as realistic as anything gets. I mean, Farsight, who created this collection of pinball tables, they really did a good job of recreating what these tables are like in real life, like the actual hardware. So this is about as extreme an example of realistic gameplay as you can get. I have a feeling this is a little off the subject of what Swifto was on about. I don't think he meant really genuine simulation of something, but it does kind of prove my point. I've been dabbling with video pinball tables over the years, different simulators, even back as far back as the Atari 2600. And Farsight have really captured what pinball tables feel like and act like. So this is about as realistic as things can get, and I think they've done an outstanding job. I'm going to point out a few things here in a second. But yeah, the Pinball Arcade is a fantastic example of realistic pinball. So yeah, if you see there, I just caught the ball on the left side there using the MagnaSave. That's a feature that some pinball machines really had. It was like a big magnet under the table there, and you used a secondary set of flipper buttons on the actual cabinet to activate MagnaSave. Farsight have included that. They've included a lot of really neat features that work. And I'm going to talk about one more in a second here. What Farsight have included as well is a neat feature. If you use the bumpers on your controller rapidly, you flip both flippers, but if you only lightly tap your bumpers on your controller, only the upper field flippers will work, which is something that actual real pinball tables use. So it's a really, really great feature. Also, I like the fact that multi-ball doesn't slow down the machine. That was something old video pinball simulators always had a problem with. Anyway, so here's a very realistic pinball game. And here we have an example of the exact opposite. This is Plants vs. Zombies Pinball on the Zen Pinball 2 collection. This one's exactly the opposite. You've got zombies walking around on your playfield. You've got little star energy points. This is very much a fantasy table, so I think this is more along the lines of the kind of stuff Swifto was talking about. But this is just as much fun. It's not realistic at all, but it is fun.
Plant.
Blabby wobble.
Good morning, sunshine.
So I just woke up the sunflower, and I'm going to bounce the pea pod around all the different parts of the playfield here. Just as much fun as a real pinball table, and unlike a real pinball table, you're about to see a bunch of zombies come and attack me.
Wipe your shoes before entering our lawn. Zombie, let's win. Zombie, lose.
So which one would I say that I prefer to play? The realistic version or the high fantasy version? That was essentially what Swifto's question was all about. I think it kind of depends on my mood at the time. I mean, if I want to do something where I feel like I'm in the experience and I'm going through something visceral, like the Star Wars Battlefront stuff, that would definitely be the vote in favor of realistic. But it's not to say that I don't enjoy fantasy stuff either. I mean, as long as the game is done well, I'm kind of enjoying that too. I guess it really depends on what my mood is like at the time. If you want to talk about fantasy games that are definitely mood requiring, where do you see my last one here? So here's an example of a very high fantasy or not realistic game at all. For anybody who doesn't recognize this game, it's called Octodad, and the premise is ridiculous and it's awesome. It's basically you're this octopus who has decided to put on a suit and pretend that he is the dad of this family, and the family doesn't even notice. It's a great, ridiculous concept for a game, but it works, and it's a lot of fun. And sort of this is an example to me of like how about as non-realistic as you can get and yet still be a really, really fun game. Unfortunately, it's really impossible to control.
Oh.
Hey, look, Dad's up. Morning, Daddy.
Tommy,
Yeah?
can I borrow your flashlight later tonight?
Why?
Yeah, if you're wondering why there's these little ping pong balls hiding or hanging in space, that's your family noticing you're not behaving normal. So the objective of this game is you're trying to act as normal as possible for an octopus pretending to be a real person.
Oh, you're finally up. Nice to see you, sleepyhead. In a way, it's good the basement flooded. You've spent so much more time with us lately.
Yeah, I really love Octodad. It's a great game, ridiculous concept, not realistic whatsoever, but it really makes me chuckle. And I guess that would be my reply to Swifto. Do I prefer realistic or non-realistic games? If I need cheering up, if I've got a crummy day or if I'm just in a bad mood or whatever, I'll play something like this that is absolutely bonkers ridiculous because it makes me laugh. If I want to play something else, then I'll play Battlefront or some of the other more realistic games, Fallout, etc. Anyway, so yeah, I think that's sort of the answer to Swifto's question. I'll post this now. Octodad's got to pour himself a cup of coffee, though, to end off here. And I guess until next time, we'll see you down the rabbit hole.
Have you seen my Salty Hearts novel anywhere? Oh, hush you.